Good day. And just for a minute, I want to talk about the situation that's going on in Ferguson, the Mike Brown situation. And I've been a little bit reluctant to release any messages regarding this particular situation because I didn't want to be identified just as a black preacher dealing with black issues or civil rights issues. When in fact I am God's preacher and a preacher of all people. But the more I found myself, reluctant to speak publicly about the situation, the more I found a urging or a nagging within my spirit asking, why haven't you said anything yet? So today I want to address the issue to my beloved black brothers and sisters and ask you, what is a life worth? What is a life worth? And in thinking about what I was going to say to America, what continually came to me was the title or subject, "It Won't Stop Until We Stop." It won't stop until we stop. So again, I ask the question, what is a black life worth today? What is it worth? Is it okay for us to kill one another as long as the perpetrator or the killer isn't a white person? You see, again, it's not going to stop until we're willing to stop killing one another. Until we begin to show value for our own lives, they're not going to show value for us. What is a black life worth? I mean, are our lives more valuable and worth protesting, worth marching, worth doing town hall meetings only when the killer is of a different ethnicity? Because there's killings. We're killing one another every single day. And we're not marching. We're not protesting. We're not calling town hall meetings. Are those lives that are nameless unimportant? You see, because as long as they witness us killing one another, then it gives them subliminally the idea that it's okay for them to do to us what we are doing to ourselves. I think certainly we should demand justice in the case of the Mike Brown situation. But I think that we should be just as outraged and just as alarmed, willing to march and picket and protest when the killer is a black person. Again, if we don't stop doing to ourselves what we are doing to ourselves, we can't expect anyone else to do unto us what we're not willing to do to ourselves. What is a black life worth today? And I ask this because we so casually kill one another. You know, we all the nameless black boys and girls, men and women that are killed every single day all across the earth. We seem not to be outraged. We seem not to be willing to picket, to march, to assemble ourselves, to demand town hall meetings in these situations. But when there's news coverage, when there's the possibility of national recognition, when the perpetrator is of a different ethnicity, when it's a police officer, then all of a sudden we're outraged and we're up in arms and we're demanding this and we're demanding that. But we have to come to a place where we stop doing to ourselves what we want others to stop doing unto us. And again, certainly let me say that I think that we should be outraged. We should be demanding that justice be served in this particular instance in the Mike Brown situation. I think that we should be outraged that an unarmed young black man was murdered at the hands of a white police officer. Yet I just believe that we should be outraged when young black men and women and boys and girls that are unarmed are killed in our neighborhoods every day of the year all across this earth. Certainly in America. I think that we've got to begin demanding justice in those situations. We've got to begin assimilating ourselves, and we've got to be, not assimilating, but assembling ourselves. We've got to begin coming together to rid ourselves of the violence that occurs in our own neighborhoods, among our own people. Because this is the only way that we're going to almost mandate that others stop doing it to us. As long as they can see it, us doing it to ourselves, again, it subliminally says to them that if you're okay with doing it to yourselves, then why should you have a problem when we do to you what you do to yourselves? Again, certainly we should be marching. Certainly we should be demanding justice in this particular situation in Ferguson. Certainly. But again, beloved, they're not going to stop murdering us until we are willing to stop murdering ourselves. They won't stop until we stop. It won't stop until we stop. Again, we shouldn't expect others to value and preserve our lives when the perception is that we don't value and preserve our own lives. Again, we can't, and there's so much to be said. The simple matter. And again, there are comments that could go around all of Black America that I could speak about. But just think about the idea of calling yourself an animal in music or in conversations. And then walk around with the belief that you can call yourself an animal, you can celebrate yourself as being an animal, and then think that others are not going to treat you like an animal. It doesn't make sense. If you are comfortable being seen as an animal, then why are you uncomfortable with people treating you as an animal? And again, I'm talking not to beat any of my beloved brothers and sisters up, but I'm just saying that we can't expect them to do anything to treat us in a different way if we're not willing to treat ourselves in a different way. You can't call yourself an animal and walk around portraying yourself as an animal and then think that they're not going to treat you like an animal. And then if you think about the fact that, people hunt, people shoot, people kill animals for sport. For sport. There's a thing called hunting season where people go out and they aim rifles at animals. Yet we call ourselves animals and think that they're not going to shoot and kill us. You cannot think that you can, hunt down yourself, shoot and kill another black person if you're black, and then think that someone else is not going to do unto another black what we're so willing to do to each other. I'm just here to say, beloved, that they're not going to stop until we stop. We can't continue to overlook and excuse all the murders that are committed against each other in our neighborhoods. We can't continue to permit it and excuse it and then be all up in arms when someone of a different ethnicity do to us what we're doing to ourselves. You have to imagine that the prevailing thought must be Why are you so mad when we're doing to you what you're doing to yourself? I could see if you had decided and you weren't doing it to yourselves. But when you do it to yourselves, what's different than when we do it to you? You don't value yourself, so why should we value you? You don't preserve black life, so why should we preserve black life? They won't stop until we stop. And I'm just speaking truth to light today, beloved. I'm not casting aspersions. I'm just wanting us to see that we have the power in our own hands. We can stop some of this stuff by fixing, what's on the inside of the house. And get the inside of the house fixed before we go out and try to fix the outside of the house. And I'm just here to say, and I'm just being truthful, that many of our young boys, young girls, men and women are just simply out of control. And this is why so many of us that are wanting better and wanting to do better leave old neighborhoods that we grew up in and never return. And so many people, it's not because they dislike black people or they're trying to assimilate with white people or trying to be something that they're not. It's just that they have gotten to a place in their lives where they don't want to have to feel the constant threat of being robbed, raped, and killed by somebody that looks just like them. It won't stop until we stop, beloved. It won't, and to deceive ourselves into thinking that we can do it to ourselves, but that others aren't supposed to do it to us is just really deceiving ourselves. It's almost like putting our heads in the sand and thinking something that is just not realistic. We see each other robbing each other. And guess what? They see it too. So they figure if they're going to rob themselves, then what's the difference in us robbing them? They see us verbally and physically assaulting each other, and they think again. If it's okay for them to do it, then why isn't it? Why are they so upset when we do to them what they do to themselves? They see us walk around with such animosity, such disdain, such hate. Such vengeance and disrespect for each other. And then you got to imagine that they're like, well, what is the problem? You so casually do it to yourselves. Why is it that you have a problem when someone else do to you what you're doing to yourself? They watch us being paraded around on the newscast every day, day in, day out, from city to city, state to state, being portrayed and paraded around on our news as murderers, as gang members, as animals. And then it's not realistic to think that they're not going to be afraid and ready to shoot us. When hell, many of us are afraid of our own people. We walk around with guns ourselves, not to protect us against individuals of different ethnicities, but many of us carry guns and weapons to protect ourselves from our own people. They won't stop until we stop. It's not going to stop until we're willing to stop excusing black on black murders. It's just not going to stop. I wish it would. I wish it would. But until we can rein in and get some control among ourselves, they're not going to stop it. I know somebody will push back and say that, black men and women, black boys and girls aren't the only ones out of control. And you're right. But my only response to that is that other ethnicities aren't having to march. They aren't having to petition. They aren't having to call town hall meetings because their little little children, their men and women are being killed at the hands of white police officers. We can talk about what other people may be doing, but they're not experiencing the suffrage that we're experiencing. So we can't justify what we do based upon what someone else does. They're not having to murder, to bury their children much too young because someone with a gun decided that they were going to take their lives. These are the things that we have to deal with. These are the things that we have to deal with. And again, as I said, I think we should be up in arms. I think that we should demand justice. I think that we should require that there be transparency in the investigation in the Mike Brown shooting. And certainly my condolences are with Mr. and Mrs. Brown, the parents of Mike Brown. Yet I'm reminded that there are nameless men and women, parents, black parents, that have had to bury their children, that bury their children every day across this United States of America. Not because their child is a Mike Brown that has been murdered by someone of a different ethnicity by a police officer, but because their child has been murdered by someone that looks just like him, that looks just like her. So my condolences is with all parents that, who have lost and suffered the devastating effects of a child being murdered. Yes. I think, again, we should be up in arms. But again, I'm just trying to be as real as I can, beloved. When I say that, until we can begin to value and preserve our own lives, that we shouldn't expect others to value and preserve our lives for us. We have to begin being our brothers and sisters' keepers to prevent others from thinking that they just have free reign to snuff out our lives. You know, I remember Malcolm once saying that we can't unite with others until we can first unite with ourselves. Well, I'm here to say that we can't, or nor should we expect others to value our lives and to stop hunting us down and shooting us until we can learn to stop hunting down and shooting and killing each other. Again, there are mothers and fathers all across the earth whose child went nameless. No press, no national recognition, no coverage. No national media coverage, no CNN, no Al Sharpton, no Jesse Jackson, no NAACP, no Rainbow Push. Not because their lives were, any less valuable, but because we've become almost desensitized to us killing each other. When does it stop? When does it stop? And we begin valuing our own brothers and sisters, saying enough is enough. Because again, they're not going to stop hunting and shooting and killing us until we stop hunting, shooting, and killing one another. I love you. My prayers are with the Brown family and with all the families across this earth, white or black, that have had to bury a child much too soon because of murder. Until next time, goodbye.